Good morning. It's nice to be here. Nice to be here with Rinban Sugahara and Reverend Matt. And every time he's been in, Rinban Sugahara has been assigned to Florida and Oregon and now Sacramento. And he's invited me at each place, but only once, one time. So this is the first time in Sacramento, and hopefully there'll be at least one more time in the future. Anyway, so today is Ohigan Day and Ohigan service, and it's a time to really, kind of make greater effort to try to understand the teachings better. So I'm going to try to share what is important for me as the teaching that is very important. Before I do that, yesterday we had a dinner for the Dharma school teachers, and I was invited, and so I met all of the Dharma school teachers, and it was quite nice. And we had some conversation, and we exchanged some jokes, some Buddhist jokes. And I like puns, P-U-N. And being in Japan, people appreciate puns. But here in America, it's kind of a lower level of humor. So amongst my friends in Mountain View, where I grew up, I'm noted for telling, bad jokes, and but one that I shared yesterday was we had some mochi, what's the place that we went to? Yes, Fuji, yeah. So they had this famous dessert. It's like the mochi dessert. It's like in a cupcake, so it's very good, and I like mochi. So I received it. So I told the Dharma school teachers, "Thank you very much." And they roll their eyes again. And I also shared, when you have matcha ice cream, when someone gives you matcha ice cream, what do you say? Yes, very good. You're catching on. Thank you very much. Yeah. But actually, I have higher level humor, and I didn't reveal to the teachers because I wanted them to come in today to hear the higher level humor. And it's not mine, but it's American Buddhist humor. And some of you probably already know it's the monk and the hot dog. How many of you know this? Okay, you people just keep quiet. Okay, so a monk goes to a hot dog vendor, and the vendor says, "What would you like, sir?" And the monk says, "Make me one with everything." Actually, only half the people usually get this one. Okay, so one with everything, mustard, ketchup, everything, onions, but that's everything in one sense. The other sense is what? Everything, right? Unity, oneness with all beings and all things. So, but there's a follow-up to that one, and it goes like, the monk hands him $20, and he doesn't get the change back right away. So he's waiting, and he's a monk, so he has to be calm and collected. So he's waiting, but he's a human being, so even after a minute, he doesn't get his change back. So he finally says, "Where's my change?" to the vendor. And the vendor says, "Sir, the change must come from within." I hope you got that one, It's a little, yeah, I really like this. By the way, some people think that Buddhists don't eat meat. That's not true, It's only true in China and East Asia, but in Southeast Asia, or even the Buddha, he ate meat. So, when the monks go out to collect alms, they receive anything and everything, and you receive it with gratitude. So, actually, it's been said that the Buddha died of what? Do you know how he died? He ate something, food poisoning. He died probably eating either mushroom or pork. So I had an opportunity to be a monk for a short time in Thailand when I was much younger, when I had more hair. and I went on these alms collecting, and we received, lots of meat as well. And so we eat meat as well. So the monk eating hot dog is not a big deal. One thing I want to say is, when I was a monk, one of the things that, when I came back, people said, oh, it must have been lots of work and hard and rigorous discipline. And it is hard. You have to get up early in the morning before, the sun comes up. And you cannot eat afternoon. So nothing to eat after, 12 noon. Those are hard. But actually, the hardest thing is not to be able to talk to other people, not to have human relationship. So, we went on the morning service and evening service, but we never talked to each other. Only human interaction that I had was with my teacher, who used to give me, lessons, private lessons. But we really don't talk about personal things. So then I felt, boy, I'm very happy that I'm a Shin Buddhist, because we thrive in relationship, right? It's Sangha. So that's one of the strengths about Jodo Shinshu. It's the human relationship and the community and the Sangha. Okay, so I said at the outset that Ohigan is a time where we resuscitate ourselves, try to get to understand the teachings better, and we practice the 6 perfections, or 6 paramitas. I noticed that Sugihara, you didn't mention that in your handout, but traditionally in Jodo Shinshu in America, we say at Ohigan we practice the 6 perfections, and maybe it's not done here in Sacramento too much, but it's been the tradition in the Buddhist churches of America. What are the 6 precepts? Dana, selfless giving. 2, precepts. 3rd, patience. 4th, energy, striving, making effort. And then the 5th one is meditation, or mindfulness, or calming the mind. And the 6th one is wisdom, insight. So these are all written everywhere, so if you're really interested, please look it up. And so today I want to talk about the last one, wisdom. And so when someone asks you, oh, so you're Buddhist, what do you believe in? What do they teach? What do you say? What's your? And maybe you can you get the slide up? Oh, okay. So probably some of you, or many of you, will think about the golden chain, right? But I think it's good for you to have something to tell another person when they ask you, what is Buddhism about? And in the golden chain, it says, I will think pure and beautiful thoughts, right? You do recite it here, don't you? Yeah. By the way, do you know that this golden chain is not found in Japan? They don't have it in Japan. It's a American creation. And do you know where it was written and when, by whom? It was written probably in the 1920s in Hawaii by a lady minister named Dorothy Hunt. And so obviously she was not a Japanese person, but so we have a very, American teaching. That's probably the most popular saying amongst, Joro Shinshu followers. So anyway, in that, you say, I will think pure and beautiful thoughts, right? So the question is, you say it, but what does it mean to you? What do you mean when you say pure and beautiful? And obviously, it can mean a lot of things. Okay, you can, clicker, okay. I'm pushing, okay. Okay. So how do you, when you say pure and beautiful, how do you carry it out? And essentially, it means pure and beautiful. It's the teaching of Buddhism, obviously. And it has to help you when you are having difficulty, right? Life is not easy. Life is a bumpy road. Life is tough. Today we're here and, you all look calm and collected and happy. But we know that in our individual lives, we encounter many difficulties. And that's when Buddhism, the teachings need to kick in and make sense for yourself. So in Buddhism, we emphasize, three actions: what we think, what we say, and how we act. Okay, so today we're focusing more on how we think. So your difficulties, what are the difficulties? What did the Buddha say about the difficulties? In the Four Noble Truths, the top one, the first one, we all experience difficulties. And they are birth, old age, sickness, and death. Okay? Then you have the four other ones, which I'm sure you probably know, but one is meeting up with people and things that you don't like, or departing or leaving people and things that we like. And the seventh one is not getting what you want. And the last one is being attached to the five aggregates of the self, which is kind of complex issue. But so anyway, those are the eight kinds of difficulties. And so I'd like for you to think about what is the difficulty for you in your life? What are some of the difficulties that you encounter? And when you do you bring your teachings to bear? Do you think about, well, how should I think about this in terms of Buddhism? And I'm sure many of you do that. So I want to share with you one, okay. No, this is one of the difficulties. It's not working. So I'm having difficulty, so I have to stay calm and collected. Not get upset at the rimba and say, how come it doesn't work? Press this one? Oh, okay, okay. See? Forward. One more. Yeah, okay. All right, before I explain this one, and one of the difficulties for me is I have become a LA Dodgers fan. Sorry. I grew up in the Bay Area, so I was a avid Giants fan for many years. Willie Mays, Orlando Cepeda, Juan Marichal, they were like gods. One time I touched Willie Mays. He came out of the stadium, and I said, "Hey, Willie, good job." And I was only 18 or something, but I still haven't washed my hands after that. But anyway, Willie, but I feel sorry about changing, but I think I fell in almost love with Shohei Ohtani. And Ichiro was great. Ichiro, he just got into the Hall of Fame, right? And he was great, but he never inspired me. I don't know, but Ohtani Shohei, he has something that one is that he's a power hitter, and that goes to show that maybe I'm down deep. I like power, and you learn about yourself. And you also notice, he's 6'4", and, even Donald Trump said he's like a movie star. So, down deep, I don't think about those things too much, but maybe I do. So being a baseball fan, it tells you a lot about yourself, not about your likes and dislikes consciously, but even unconsciously. And then he's Japanese, okay? Well, Ichiro was Japanese, but I didn't think much, but there is that, there is kind of a preference, and let's face it, we all have a sense of, identity with your group, and of course, Buddhism, we have to transcend it. But down deep, we all have some kind of, identification that. So Buddhism is not just to learn about fancy stuff, but also to learn about yourself. And especially Jodo Shinshu, learn about things about yourself that you don't want to face. And one of the things I don't want to face is that I get very upset when the Dodgers lose. The other day, Saturday, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, another Japanese pitcher, he's a great pitcher, and he had a no-hitter going till the 9th inning, 2 outs. What happens? The guy hits a home run. So, I said, I wasn't too upset about that. I wanted Yamamoto because whenever he pitches, the Dodgers don't score very much. It's become very famous, But, it doesn't faze him. I mean, maybe he's an enlightened person. It doesn't seem to upset him. But anyway, so they got a home run. Dodgers were leading 3-0, now 3-1. What happened next was really upsetting. So the bullpen pitchers came in, and I don't know if you know, but 3 walks, and then a couple hit, and they lost 4-3. Are you a Giants fan? It's okay. No. In a way, if it were the Yankees, I would be more upset. But if it's the Giants, so it's my second team. But anyway, so my wife tells me that, you're a Buddhist teacher. You have to, kind of see things, more calmly. And I know. But this is something that once you become a fan like that, and those of you who are sports fan, you probably understand when your favorite team loses, it really gets to you. And then, so you learn about yourself. And I learned one thing, probably this goes to the heart, that I personally want things to go my way, fundamentally. That's what I think when Shinran Shonin says that we are filled with blind passion and self-centeredness, and that is part of what he's talking about. And so please realize, that is one of the realities of our human existence, the fact that we want things to go our way. So anyway, when the Dodgers lose like that, and I realize, well, what can the teaching, when I say think pure and beautiful thoughts, one of the things is to think, don't be too greedy. And greed is one of the defilements, afflictions, and we say gas, right? G-A-S, greed, anger, or aversion, and stupidity. So the greed gets you into difficulties. It makes you suffer more. And this one, actually, I showed this in 2019 when I came here, and it's from the Aesop tales of the greedy dog. The greedy dog takes the bone away from the puppy. That in itself is already bad. But what he does is and then, so he takes it away, and then the puppy runs away, and he decides that he wants to enjoy the bone that he took from the puppy and enjoy it in a quiet place. So he tries to go across the river, the babbling brook, and he goes to the bridge and looks over the bridge, and what does he see? He sees another dog with a bone. And so he wants that. So that's really greed. He took a bone already, and he wants another bone. And so what does he do? Greed makes him bark because he wants, ruff, ruff, I want that one. And plop goes the bone, and he loses that one. So greed perpetuates your suffering. And I know, so wanting your favorite team to win all the time, that's greed. The best team in Major League Baseball, the most they can probably will win is 100 games. And so they play 162, right? And so the worst team probably wins about 60 games. So it's only 40 games more that the first team wins more than the last team. So that even the first team is bound to lose, but we want your favorite team to win all the time. And that's like us wanting things to go our way all the time. So greed is, there's a difference between desire and greed. We all have to have desire, for us to live in the world. We have to have desire to study, go to college, or vocational school, whatever. We need the desire to be better. But when it becomes greed, it leads to more suffering. So this one has to do with Rinban Sugahara. When he was in Oregon, when he invited me to Oregon Buddhist Temple, we went out to lunch, had spaghetti outside, okay? And then we were eating, and all of a sudden a wasp like this came and lodged on our spaghetti that we were sharing. And so we kind of backed off, and then the wasp grabbed a spaghetti about this long, tried to fly away, okay? Well, so we were amazed that, how dare it, taking our spaghetti. But we were kind of said, oh, you can't pick that up, it's too heavy. So this was a good Buddhist wasp, maybe, because what he did was he probably thought, too greedy. I'm being too greedy. I'm taking the whole spaghetti this long. So what it did, and he came back and he decided to cut it into a 1-inch spaghetti. Grabbed that and flew away. So he was able to get what he wanted because he was not too greedy. And so that, when we saw, both of us said, wow, this is a sermon topic. So I have been using this quite often, Even in Japan, I use this all the time. Anyway, so thank you, Wasp. Okay, the last one is a cliffhanger, which is actually from the early Buddhist sutras. And there are different versions of this. There's a man hanging on a cliff, okay? And it's 100 yards down. So imagine yourself hanging on a cliff 100 yards down, and you cannot quite, get yourself up above on your own power. And he's desperate. And so he's saying, help, help. And then Buddha appears. Of all people, the Buddha appears. He said, oh, Buddha, save me, please save me. Okay? And the Buddha says, I will. Let go. What do you think? Is that a compassionate Buddha? Well, okay, maybe you, okay. So for him, he thinks he's 100 yards above the ground, and the Buddha says, let go. And what is it? Not 100 yards down, but just 1 yard down. So from the Buddha's perspective, the struggle you're going through is just 1 yard below, not 100 yards. And this is something that we experience quite often. That, a good example. Okay, the Dodgers lost Okay, so I'm thinking, oh, this is terrible, 100 yards down. And that night, actually, I got up in the middle of the night, and I haven't told my wife, but wow, what the heck? I mean, it's just unbelievable. And the fact that 2 outs, one to go, and you lose a no-hitter and all that. Okay, so I was the guy who was 100 yards above. But from the Buddhist standpoint, from the Buddhist perspective, it's only 1 yard. And a lot of things in our lives, okay, you're probably thinking, oh, here I'm a minister, I'm showing my, the foibles and the weakness, but we all have it, and so please think about times when you get frustrated and you think, oh, it's 100 yards down and I'm clinging for life. Like, I don't know, there are a lot of examples like that. Maybe your car breaks down, but it's maybe you can get help and it's not the end of the world. A computer breaks down and okay, sure, you have some assignments due, but you can get over it. I mean, a lot of things all the time, and sometimes you get into a kind of a foul mood in your life. When you do, think about this. It's only 1 yard down. Things will be fine. Of course, there are times when reality is that you are like 100 yards above the ground, serious illness, passing of someone who's dear to you, and you have to deal with that, of course. But most things in daily lives are more like 1 yard. So please keep that in mind. And it's helped me quite a bit, a lot. And so, I think what makes us suffer is greed, anger, hatred, stupidity, gas. And by the way, gas is quite famous now, but I've come up with 2 other versions. One is gaff. But the only difference is the last one is, so it's not stupidity, but it's foolishness. Okay? So greed, aversion, or anger, and foolishness. Another one is die, D-A-I. It sounds like die, right? Desire, well, actually, desire, anger, and ignorance. Okay? But anyway, you can use any of these to remember that these are the things that make you, unhappy. And so Buddhism is saying that we cannot get rid of desire, but we can probably get rid of greed. Not to be caught up in greed, but tone it down. And that is the message that the Buddha has shared with us. And finally, I want to say that, all this knowledge is good, but we need to put in practice. And what you just heard, if you can take anything from what I just said and apply it to your life, and I think this image of the cliffhanger is very good. Just imagine that. And, it's only 1 yard. So someone said, even, your favorite team losing, it's the most important thing among the most unimportant things, right? I mean, it's really not, no big deal. A lot of things are like that. So in order to make it part of our life, we cannot just come to a temple and hear the sermon and go home and forget about it for the rest of the week. But I'm sure that many of you do this, but as Jodo Shinshu Buddhists, we need to kind of make effort to make effort, because by making effort, it impacts how you think and instills it within you. And so going to a home altar, hopefully you have one. And if you don't have one, you should create one. And at least once a day, go to the altar and especially before going to sleep, putting your hands together and express your gratitude that, I've made it through one whole day safely. And another thing you could possibly do is one of my favorite ministers once talked about doing gassho to shoes. Gassho to shoes. Because he says, shoes we take for granted. They get stepped on all the time and is never recognized. So a gassho to shoes. Another thing, do you say, put your hands together when you eat before partaking food? Yeah, I think we all do that. But do you say Namo Amida Butsu? So okay, well, great, yeah. Namo Amida. So in our house, we say Namo Amida Butsu, and then we say Japanese Itadakimasu, and then we say thank you, mommy, for preparing the food. And one time, one of my sons, we have two sons and one daughter, and the second son, when he was like, about 5 or 6, he went to the boots down before he went to sleep, and we instructed them to say, thank you for a good day. But he's going like this, and then that night he turns around to me and says, oh, Dad, it was a bad day. And so I said, well, say thank you for a bad day. And so he followed my instructions. I still remember him. Thank you for a bad day. And now he's 35 years old and has 2 kids, and so anyway. So and lastly, I kind of hesitated to say this because, but I will anyway. When we eat, we say thank you. Do you say thank you when it comes out? So I call it toilet gassho. So I do it at least once a week, either number 1 or number 2, it doesn't matter. But you look at it, and if you really think about it, it came out, and that contributes to our health, keeps us healthy. And if you can get yourself to really do this, then you're on the way to say thank you for coming out safely. And so that we call toilet gassho. So please keep that in mind, and any of the things I've talked about or the senseis talk about, please put it into practice. And finally, it's your issue, it's your problem, issue of spirituality, what all this means. It doesn't matter what sensei knows or what he talks about. It's up to you. This life is very short. Even the young people here, you think you have another 50 years. You'll go quickly, And so we need to hopefully find something that's substantial for yourself. What is the purpose of life? Why am I here? Why? And Shinran Shonin said, the vow, the teachings, for I, Shinran, alone. He didn't say that the vow just for myself. He said, for me, I needed this. For me, this teaching has made me full and complete. I hope that this Ohigan time will enable you to, further your understanding and appreciation of Buddhism and the teachings, and make your life more happy and give you greater inner peace. Okay. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo.